Hey, what is going on, everyone? Vega here for ASIC Tech, and we are making progress or headway on the immersion build. We punched 2 holes here right below the electrical panel that the hoses and power are going to run through. Obviously, the dry cooler is going to sit right here, the Foghashing C2. And we had a little bit of a blowout, no problem. I have some repair, and we actually kind of lined it up perfectly. A little bit too perfectly on this side. We were hitting the structural part of the brick. You can see the brick outline. This side came in pretty well, leaving a little bit of a lip so I can seal around it, repair that, seal around it, and then run the hoses and power through. And now we are just getting ready for the other side. And as you can see, I got my boy Mikey here with me. We're working through things. Gonna go out the side of this breaker panel, put a junction box here into 2 meter boxes, and then have to set up the PDUs, but that's where the pipes come out. So hopefully gonna have the C2 somewhere in here. Got some cleanup to do. Another 30 amp breaker. Here's our first 30 amp breaker. I already went and fished a wire back, but we got to run it through. Another 30 amp breaker down, out this way to the junction box is the plan, but I will bring you updates as we move forward. All right, and here's the latest update. Breakers installed, marked PDU A, PDU B, junction box into 2 power meters, but I stopped that day because I got a little bit angry. The 2 holes are right behind this little foam pad right here, and the problem that we had was the hoses. The hoses had a 90 on it, which obviously cannot go through a 2-inch hole, so I had to stop all progress. However, our guys over at, and a huge shout out to Hunter, Industrial Mobile Hydraulics Inc. off of Lane Avenue here in Jacksonville, was able to swap over that one of the 90s. So we got a 90 on the on one end and then a straight on the other. Now these are very unique. A couple of hydraulic shops didn't have the right one. This is what they call British flathead adapter, because it's flat, as you can see on the inside. That's where the washer goes, and this one is a little bit longer threaded. You can see it goes a lot deeper than this other one, and so we had to make sure that everything works. Now I still don't know if this will thread all the way in, even with the washer depth, but that is where we're at right now, because we need to try to run the hoses through to the other side and get ready to mount the dry cooler. Once I have all that set up and confirm the hoses work, we'll bring you back for another update. All right, so real quick update. We got the hoses ran through the pipes. We got both fittings, top and bottom, connected, leaving myself a little bit of room. I might move these computer towers that are over here, you know, kind of out of the way, to make some more room. But the hoses are 10 feet long and they take up a lot of space, so just be mindful of that. Right now they're just going to chill behind. And I cut off some foam because I was feeling cold air. It's a nice cold night here in North Florida, and I felt a lot of cold air coming through here. Obviously little bugs and critters might try to get into there, so I'm going to use some pest control or pest prevention, but I sealed it up with some foam just as much as I can, because I want to be able to pull this out if I ever need to. And I'm just using small pieces of the same foam that came with the Foghashing, or shipped out with the Foghashing unit, and a X-Acto knife, just cutting out, you know, curved shapes to fit the pipe and everything, and then cutting it to form to fill the hole. Let's go outside during this evening. It's going to be a little bit dark, and show you what's going on out there. Still the holiday season, so everybody's got their Christmas stuff up, just chilling. And as we head on over to the side of my house, you will see the unit is mounted. She is nice and secure. I mounted her to the concrete with some deep cap Tapcon grounding bolts, and here are the fittings, as tight as I possibly could. You could see I still had some threads left over, even though these are deeper. I still have some threads left over, but one of the issues I was bumping into is these wouldn't tighten anymore to a certain point, so I really had to carefully, and I do stretch or express a little bit of concern with that, is look at what this is made out of, right? Brass, copper fittings all conjoined together, and this is steel. these fittings are. So if you yank on that too hard or you put too much leverage on that, you're just going to snap one of these bad boys off and you have a bad day. You're going to have to get a plumber to come out and fix that. I might put some foam in this side of the holes just to minimize, you know, the little critters getting in there, or lizards or whatever. But at least we sealed it on the inside for now. Again, I don't want to seal it too much to a point where, you know, I can never remove these if I needed to. Probably need to tie this up a little bit, but I did leave a little bit of excess, so, you know, in case I needed to make some adjustments or what have you. But it's mounted, it's good to go. Now it's just a matter of making sure there's no leaks. The biggest concern I have with leaks is on this side, so we will probably need to get started on that, and I will give you the next update as soon as I have it. So we're at the point now where I got the pump that comes with the C2. It's a lot bigger than what comes in the C1. One hose going into the old C1 container to get all the fluid out, and the other, you can see the arrow, by the way, pointing. This is the way the flow goes, going to the bucket. So I got to refill this bucket, refill the other one, try to get as much liquid as I can out. Make sure that that hose is submerged underneath the liquid level. Got some gloves and some napkins so I don't you know, degrade the oil, because your own body oils and stuff like that can affect it. You don't want to get any particulates, dust, any matter in there whatsoever. So I just need to start draining and move this stuff over to the new container. By the way, this is what the old pump was on the C1, or that came with my unit on the C1. Nothing really in there, and you can see I wrote on there as far as like that's inlet and that's outlet. But this pump is a lot smaller. It's powered by USB only, and it will take a lot longer. So good thing the C2 comes with the bigger boy. Put in the fluids. Already got technically a gallon, so basically 1.5 of these, or at least 2 of these in here right now. We're on our last 2, but then we also have a little bit more in the C1 that I need to get over. And this is what the liquid looks like. Should be a little bit clearer than this in my opinion, but I think the first one where I took from the C1, where the Whatsminer M30S was sitting, just kind of fouled it up a little bit with, you know, thermal paste and stuff like that changed the coloration. Looks a little bit cloudy to me, not too bad. But basically you want to fill the overflow tank first and then start filling that one. Really, you want the miners in there already. I'm about to put the Whatsminer M30 in right now, and I just replaced the adapter board on it. So we're about to drop this bad boy in. It probably could use a little bit of cleaning. You can see the thermal paste. That's why it's cloudy, as you can see the thermal paste and all that stuff. So really, I would like to clean this up, but when I got this from BT Miners, it was just overflowing with thermal paste layered on everything, and over time the heat and the convection of the liquid just kind of lifted all the thermal paste up to the top. The first run kind of cleaned up a little bit, but I probably could do a little bit more cleaning, at least on the outer shell here, get rid of any, you know, residual oils or thermal paste material on it. But gonna drop this in and continue filling up the liquid in there. This is the proper way to fill your immersion tank. At some point, I'm just get up and I start pouring it into the container. But if you're this full, what's going to happen is, you know, as air is trying to go in while liquid's coming out, it's going to splash, and then it's going to, you know, drop and drip all over the place. You don't want that to happen. So just use the pump. And I have it connected to the power plug that it gave me. I just stole one from the computer because this cable didn't come with it, but this power brick connects to the motor. And then I just flip on the surge protector, and then it should just go. There we go. And now we need to get this S19K Pro ready to go, ready for dunking. So out of the case, out of the box, out with the fans and power supply fans. I need to get all that done ASAP. We'll probably put that in a separate video on how to do that. but that's what we're gonna do right now, because we're getting to the point where we gotta account for this being in the liquid to know the height, or where we're at as far as height in the actual container. And this is why I mentioned setting your miners in there before you fill it with liquid, because originally, before the S19K Pro was sitting there, we were right below the R on the What's miner, and now we're about a little bit over a half inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch higher, not too far from the overflow. So with this last 5 gallon, we should be able to not only get to where we need to be, but also we got to fill the loop. So we got to power cycle and go through the instructions, which I will show you here momentarily. I know this seems pretty stupid, but I've done this before with the C1 when I had to do some adjustments. And that is a coffee filter with a rubber band or a hair tie, whatever you got, or even a zip tie on the end, because when I put the liquid from the C1 into this 5 gallon bucket, you know, some particulate matter was in there. So right now I'm just letting it filter slowly, because it does take a minute to filter out of this guy, and drain out slowly into the tank. Tear down and draining of the C1 wasn't too bad, just a little bit annoying because it was kind of awkward, you know, because I don't have much room. You can see I spilled some liquid. There's not much room between the car and this. The car's motor needs to have some work done, so moving it wasn't in the cards. But you could see all the thermal paste I was mentioning earlier down there at the bottom. So I'm just filtering all that crap and crud out. Need to do a thorough cleaning of this guy, and I kind of drained as much with the pump, shoving the hose down there. I drained as much as I could, not only from here, but also from the radiator. I just took the hoses off one end and then had the radiator higher than the container or the 5 gallon bucket sitting on this chair and draining as much liquid as it possibly can. That's what's going into the C2 now. And we still got a power cycle, because right now the fluid is still got to go through the radiator and stuff like that. So we got probably about that much left in this container, and then about half of this one, or this one's halfway full. So I'm gonna keep filling it up, and then we're gonna power cycle, and let's go over the directions real quick on getting this bad boy started. All right, so first off, I don't have the miners plugged in. If they were plugged into the same PDU that I would need to run the container and the fans, you would, you know, want to not plug in your ASICs just yet. But because they're on 2 separate PDUs or not plugged in at all, step number 6, click the start button on the screen. So once we power everything on, this is what it's going to look like. We let it go through its process. We hit the button in the middle to start, and then the oil level would drop, because obviously it's going to filter through the pipes and the radiator. We just need to pay attention to that level, right? There's 2 sections: the back section where the pump is draining or circulating, and in the front section where the ASICs are. We just need to make sure that the level stays good so that the pump doesn't run dry. We need to top it off, so we're going to flip the switch on the PDU, flip it off to make sure everything is good to go. Top it off. If the pump idles after cycle is on, manually open the vent valve until the coolant comes out of the vent valve, then close it. So that's something I need to keep an eye on, because there is a vent valve right now on that pump side. So I just found out something. There's not only a valve on the inside right there, but there's also a valve on the radiator. But also, real quick, I just want to show you how clear fresh liquid looks compared to yellowish tint, because of the What's miner and the thermal paste that dissolved in the oil over time. So I came out here just to make sure that nothing was leaking, and obviously we do have a leak, but it was because of this valve right here, right? So I twisted all the way right to close. Left opens it up, nothing's coming out, but I can't afford to lose liquid, so I'm not sure what that valve is. I'm probably gonna hold tight, do some research, and come back at it, because this is all immersion liquid, all that wetness right there. Can't afford that.
It's dripping.
So far so good. We got liquid flowing, overflowing on top of the What's miner. I need to add a little bit more liquid so that the level's right a little bit higher over the What's miner, but we are flowing. Vented the inside, right? So left that open. Twist to this way to close, right? So this way. Twist this way to open. So lefty loosey, righty tighty if you're sitting on it from this area. And then kind of the same thing on the outside vent. Just Be careful to check that first. Airflow is pretty good. No leaks over here besides the vent being open. Everything looks good at the hoses, so we are making solid connection between the O-ring and the flat face against the inside of these connections. The airflow, you know, these things, it's not too bad. I'll let you listen real quick. This is the sound of the pump. 2 feet away. Not annoying at all compared to what these fans do. Very quiet. Now we are on level. You could tell liquid is higher on this end than that end. The left side needs to be raised up just a tad, and the garage is slanting down towards the front to obviously let any water flow go towards and outside the garage. But we should be good. Added a little bit more. So now it's just a matter of putting on the lids and powering this bad boy up and just monitoring and making sure that we are not doing anything silly. So overall, no miners on it, just the pump and the fans. We're sitting at 328 watts with the fans running on low with the current temperature and the pump not on. We were sitting around 84 watts, but the fans can ramp up quite significantly. You can see we already dropped 2 degrees Celsius, and you can see there's a little peelable thing right here, but I'm gonna do all the peel after the fact. Let me get these miners powered on. And out of these 4 containers, 5-gallon buckets of BitCool 888, which is not cheap, and there are cheaper dielectric fluids out there, but you're gonna really be paying for, you know, quantity instead of quality. So weigh out the pros and cons. Out of all of this, I literally have only this much left. So definitely get 4, and if you spill a lot, you might want to get 1 more bucket and just have a backup. But now we are all topped off. We're going to go ahead and power on the system immediately because 1 miner is connected. So this one is connected to the S19K. Top one is connected to the What's miner. So let's go ahead and turn on the other breaker. Make sure that everything is good to go. We're going to get power here in just a little bit to both PDUs. We can see the meter boxes are good. So bottom one first for the fan slash radiator, or the fan slash Foghashing container. Go ahead and push the button once to start. There's the pump. Go ahead and flip on the other one, because as soon as you flip these on, it's going to kick on the miners. We also need to get the router going, which it is powering up right now because I got an adapter, right? So I got 1 more slot open. We can see the What's miner powering up and the S19K. Okay, now it's just a matter of logging into these machines remotely and making sure everything is good. I don't like the way that's blinking. Okay, all right, good. So remember, we replaced the adapter board on this one. I'll go and log in and check on that. And then this one has the Epic control board. We're going to remote in and manage it. We'll talk about that in a different video. But that is the long journey to the Foghashing C2. After all this time, we finally got it done. Thanks again to Altair Tech, who helped us secure the S19K Pro Unmineable, who helped donate towards this build, and latest-miner.web.app as well, who helped, you know, donate and provide some funds towards this build. And a huge thanks, of course, to Foghashing, because without you, I wouldn't have gotten the C2 immersion kit and had such a great time and adventure accomplishing these goals. So that's gonna do it for today's video. Please hit the like button on the way out. Make sure to get subscribed and hit the notification button to stay up to date, as well as check out links in the description to help support the channel and what we do here, like links to suppliers and affiliates that helped us get these miners and container. Hit me up if you need any fluid, PDUs, or any other mining equipment. I'll get you connected. Take care.